You're listening to the ARTPOWER Podcast. I'm Janera Solomon. In this episode, I'm having a conversation with my friend, artist Reiko Yamamoto.
If you can have some sort of financial security, you just can do better work. You know, I mean, anxiety is really just a creative killer.
Reiko is a ceramicist living here in Pittsburgh. She makes functional, beautiful tableware for everyday use, inspired by her childhood in Japan. So I have a bunch of Reiko's dishes. I have her plates, I have her mugs, I have her cups. I use the mugs, I think, almost every day, many, many times a week. And what I love about all of her tableware is that it's beautiful and simple and really functional. But I think what I really love about Reiko's work is that it's so beautiful. You take a moment to look at it, but it's not so precious that you feel like you have to save it for company. And you can have it every day. I think what we hear from Reiko in this episode is one artist's approach to simply and poetically blending the financial needs of her family and herself with this practice that she loves. Here's Reiko. So we know you here in Pittsburgh as a ceramicist. Can you talk a little bit about your journey to becoming a ceramicist? Have you always been one from the beginning?
I guess I think the first actual ceramic class that I took was when I was in high school. I had just moved to the U.S. from Japan. I didn't speak the language. And one of the things that I, had to do when I was choosing classes was try and choose classes that didn't require understanding of my English. So ceramics was one of them. Mm-hmm. And it so happens that the local public school that I went to, I was living outside of Detroit. The school had an amazing ceramics program for a public school. And a great teacher. And I really think, because I didn't have a voice sort of outside, it became a place that felt extremely comfortable and I had a way to express myself. So that's where that sort of love of ceramics and the process began. Mm-hmm. And at the school, I studied ceramics as well as media. So I sort of had both of my toes dipped in both extremes because, I was working with mud.
Yes.
And I was also working with new media. So after school, I think there was definitely more work and opportunities in the sort of digital side of things. So I began working with artists, but then also with more sort of commercial companies to do digital design and sort of television and other things.
Where were you living?
At that time, I was living in New York.
Okay.
And ceramics has, ever since high school, it's always sort of been in my life, but sometimes it goes in and out, depending on where I'm living or what I'm doing with my life. And in New York, I found it really difficult to want to produce physical objects because, as you know, New York apartments are small, tiny, spaces are limited, access to studio and all of these things are very limited. So, soon after graduation, I sort of focused more on the digital side of things. And
that work was coming to you.
Right.
Yes.
I had a period of freelancing. I've had a period where I was employed at a company. Yeah. But that's the work I started right after college.
Mm-hmm. So were you thinking of yourself, at that time in New York, doing the video production work, trying lots of different things? Were you thinking of yourself as an artist yet? A professional artist at that point?
I would say no. I didn't really have a sort of practice that was, that was sustained throughout those years.
No. Mm-hmm. So when did you come to that moment of like, okay, I'm living my life as an artist now. I've decided.
I guess people always saw me as the artist, regardless of how I thought about myself.
Why? What did they see that made them say that?
I think sometimes as you get older, you see people sort of conform more. But I felt like as I became older, I was more and more different.
Yes.
Somehow.
Mm-hmm. A dissident. So like not the traditional, aiming for a traditional 9-to-5 job, not aiming for like the house in the suburbs with the kids.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with any of those things.
Right. The kids came along, but Mm-hmm. But I think, so the way back in for me into doing ceramics was we ended up moving outside of New York and moved to Chicago.
Okay.
And at that time, I was still working on a freelance basis in media production. But I also had a little bit more time. And I really missed that sort of tactile nature of the material of clay. Mm-hmm. At that time, my husband was going through a master's program in fine arts in Chicago. And I sort of, I was watching him sort of have his own sort of exploration and sort of intellectual curiosity and all of these things.
Yes.
And I had been spending a lot more time sort of thinking about making a living and,
yes, sustaining the household.
Right. Being for the two of us to be able to live. And I really needed a bit of a counterpart to that. Yes. And I think that's when I went back to doing ceramics. So I found a community studio there and I started working in ceramics again.
And was that easy and affordable to find?
The studio itself, there's this great little studio called Lil Street, and that's where I was. And the wonderful thing about that studio is they had sort of a work exchange program, so I was able to access the studio and firing in exchange of cleaning and also making clay. So those are some of the duties that we had. But mostly, it was great. It was among friends and...
when did you start having kids? When did you have your first child in Chicago?
No. Okay. So after Chicago, I was sort of following my husband's more academic, sort of geographically specific career.
Yes.
That required us to move. And we were in Charlottesville. Right after Chicago. And that's sort of, that's I think is another little pivotal moment is when we were in Charlottesville. Soon after we moved, I became pregnant with my first child. And I would say probably a few months after that, the Lehman shock happened.
Oh, yeah.
And, when
financial
economy tanks, one of the first sectors to go is advertising.
Yeah.
And that kind of production work sort of almost like dried up overnight.
Wow.
And I just decided at that moment that since I lived in Charlottesville where I actually had space in a basement access, I decided to set up a little ceramic studio in my basement. I think that's my first ceramic studio.
Wow.
I guess set up for myself. And I didn't really necessarily have a big idea about creating a business out of it. But it was something that I really needed to center myself. And I think what I really wanted for myself at that moment was like having a space, a creative space that I can claim as my own space and time. Because I think part of the, shift that happens when you have a child is like all of a sudden you're dealing with something that you have absolutely no experience, zero experience. So you're at this point and you know that there's going to be a lot of things that you just have to feel it out and figure things out as you go. And for me, the decision to like give myself that creative space allowed me to claim it.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, absolutely.
So that was an important decision. I feel like that was a conscious decision that I made when I was pregnant.
And, that claiming space and the impulse to want to claim space, it has financial implications. Did you think about that?
Well, yeah, especially at the beginning because, I wasn't making money doing
No, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to say she broke, but yeah.
Certainly, So there's a sense of guilt there too. Because I'm sort of like, wait, I get to claim space outside of taking care of my child.
Yes.
To take care of myself and my needs,
Agreed, yes. So fast forward, you come to Pittsburgh. It's a great city, location-wise, access to culture. And you're still thinking, okay, when I get here, I'm going to establish my art practice, reestablish it, keep it going. That's still part of the plan.
Right, yes. I think by that point, that the creative practice was really important to me. It sort of sustained me.
So it was a given.
Through my pregnancy, and it really, it was something that I wanted to continue.
So let's talk about some of the finances of doing that. You get here, and you're both here. Your partner's starting his job. You're getting settled. How do you start to think about how this is going to work? You're going to do it, and you're going to set up a studio in your home. You're going to look for someplace outside. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think what worked really well in ceramics is the starting cost of running a ceramic studio is really high.
Yes.
So it's really difficult to just sort of set it up and get it running, right? And also at that time, I had a newborn, so I just really needed to make sure that I had access, but also something flexible.
Yes.
And not expensive. And keeping those costs low for me was important because it just gave me the flexibility that I needed.
Right.
So I would say the first couple years, I worked out of community studios.
Yes.
There's a couple places here in Pittsburgh. The first place was PCA, which is now
Pittsburgh Center for the Arts. That PCA? Yes.
Right. And then Union Project was another location.
As I'm listening to you talk about this, I'm thinking, okay, what about the financial goals you were setting throughout? I'm sure at some point you said, we should buy a home. I should have maybe a nicer studio, or, where will I send my kids to school? What can we afford? Can you talk through how you had those conversations? How did you plan or think about those things? Was it kind of like you sat down and said, okay, with a spreadsheet on some regular basis? My husband loves a spreadsheet. Or was it more organic? And, as you were ready, you made the choices? Like, how did you think through and kind of work through all of that? The life part, the financial life part.
Right. I think generally, those planning is more, or has always been more organic. Although one of the things that I really kind of paid attention to, even when I wasn't making a lot of money, is to just try and save for the future.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. Because there's some statistic about how, most Americans don't have like any more than they don't have a month of emergency savings, let alone having like something stable. So
Right. So, and I think that's one of the things that even if it's just a little bit, just put it away and don't touch it.
Don't touch it. So much discipline, Reiko.
But I think that's the kind of things that gives you the flexibility, right?
Yes.
So I found that it was really important for me. Flexibility was really important for me. And partially because I was a mother of a young child. And I wanted to be able to sort of work on my own terms. So in order to do that, it was really important to have multiple income streams.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
So, I had my practice and had multiple income streams within my practice, but also another source of, through media production.
Yes. What were the multiple sources within your practice?
Well, I actually didn't do a whole lot of teaching, so that wasn't not part of it. But I think for some,
you can. So there can be teaching
could be a really good source of income. Workshops, other things. In my ceramics practice, I make a lot of sort of functional wares, so pottery, cups, plates, those kind of things. But I also started making jewelry line, and that sort of hits a different need, different market. So that certainly helped to diversify that. And I think with a little security comes flexibility.
Absolutely.
Right. So and I think luck too in Pittsburgh. It's not so much anymore, but the housing used to be a lot cheaper.
Yes.
So we were able to purchase a house.
That's right. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I felt okay about living in Pittsburgh, because I knew I could afford a life that I wanted here with, some effort, but not as much effort as if I, lived in New York or LA, even some parts of Chicago.
Yeah, it's certainly the affordability made it possible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, that was a key factor. I also wanted to be available to my child.
Right.
I also wanted to be, as I tell my friends used to tease me about choosing to live in Pittsburgh. Like, oh, you're cutting off career opportunities. You should live in New York. You should live, somewhere else. And I'd say, well, I like to stay sane and sexy, so that's why.
And you did,
and
janera.
I did. Thank you. So Pittsburgh lets me do that. Thinking about advice, a lot of folks are looking for words of wisdom around how to live this life. At this point, Reiko, I mean, it's like, what? You have a practice of 20-something years.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe a little less.
A little less?
Yeah, maybe 13 years.
13 years here. But I'm still thinking, I mean...
longer.
Your Chicago time, Charlottesville time, New York. I mean, it's been a long journey. I mean, that's part of the savings idea too, right? All of those experiences fed into this now career. What are some pieces of advice that you'd offer to folks around sustaining a life as an independent working artist financially?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the important things is to advocate for yourself and your work.
For yourself, yes.
I think it's really hard as an independent artist because I think, it's very common for the labor of art and the work itself not being appreciated.
Yes.
Both as sort of a status and as a financial reward.
Right.
And when you are constantly told that your work isn't
worth what you think it is,
it's really difficult.
It is difficult.
To sustain that, right?
Yes.
So, to advocate for it, to ask for it,
yes,
right? There's always, I think, also this discussion of, you should never say no to an opportunity, right?
Yes.
And then, whereas I think I was always in a place where I didn't have a lot of time. I just never had extra time. So I often ended up saying no to a lot of
Yes,
things.
I remember that time period where people were asking you, you were like, no, I'm not doing that. Yes.
And I don't know if that was necessarily always good.
Yeah.
And there's probably a period in your life where you can, take all these things on and do it.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I think you still have to be able to say, no, when you know that you're not getting
what
the return.
Exactly. I mean, what is an opportunity really? Like what are those things when you're looking at them and you're like, that's a no.
Right. Well, when people are like, well, you get exposure.
Oh God,
by
no.
doing this.
No thanks. Leave me hidden.
Or, even like teaching opportunities. I sort of, at the very beginning, I really was, it was hard for me to think about it because it requires a different approach.
Yes.
And
time.
a different, set of things that I need to get ready for.
Yes.
I think it's about knowing sort of what your work is worth and asking for that.
Yes.
So whether it's, about people asking to come and set up shop for one of their company events, and they will tell you, well, we have 1,000 people come through for lunch and we will not take any commission, from your sales. But then you're sort of like, yes, however, actually, this is for your company.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I should be paid
to come
be
here.
There.
Yes. The way you would pay for your catering.
Exactly.
Or pay for the really nice artwork that you purchased for the lobby or whatever it is.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and you'd be surprised. And some people just don't know to do that.
Yes.
So when you push back, they'll be like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, let me
think
about
see what I can do. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So because sometimes I think it really is, it's you would be able to tell, what kind of events is actually, am I just an entertainment for, this is like a perk.
Right.
You can sort of see, what the purpose of that event is and, determine like if actually, if it's a big, craft event that they're going to draw in 20,000 people.
Right.
Then, yeah, sure. Maybe like I'll pay a booth fee.
Exactly.
But you don't have to show up just because
you were invited.
Are asking you to come.
Yeah. You don't have to show up just because people are asking you to come.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, there are lots of artists, many I've encountered in my time, that they feel if they say no, they might not get invited back, or they might not get invited to something else. Or they think, well, maybe once I'm there, I'll make lots of connections. And I think all of that could be true.
True.
Yeah. You might not get invited back. Yeah, exactly.
Invitations.
You might lose some invitations. And so it's that, I think it's weighing it all. And you started by saying, knowing your worth, knowing your value, which it feels like that's two parts, right? That's one, knowing like actual cost of your time.
Right.
Like how much it's going to take me time to prepare for this. It's going to take me time to be there. What's the dollar amount that goes with that? And then the other part of the value is, how will I feel while I'm there? Mm-hmm. Will I be happy to be there? Will I enjoy being there? Will I be treated well while I'm there? Mm-hmm. That's what I think about. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes
and you may do something for your community that you might not
I love. For, exactly.
Yes,
exactly. So I might still choose to do something for the love, for the community, where no money is exchanged, really. Mm-hmm. But the love is there.
Mm-hmm. I totally
and vice
agree.
versa. There are times when I don't do certain things for the money because I'm like, yeah, you're going to pay me this time, but the energy you're going to give me is going to last with me. It's going to stay with me for a while, and that's going to cost me. So no thanks.
The negative energy.
The negative energy, exactly. That has cost too. So I'm like, no thanks. And being able to pause to weigh things like that. It's both a practice, and also you have to be set up to be able to pause like that.
Right.
So that's where the savings comes in.
True.
Right?
True. Yeah. That's the flexibility, right?
Yes, that's the flexibility. That's the flexibility. Yeah.
And really, like, you can't, people do all the time, but I think if you can have financial security, of some sort of financial security, you just can do better work.
Right.
Anxiety is really just, it's creative killer.
Yes.
A killer of creativeness. I think.
At least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I think you should really think about, like, why is it that you have your practice, and what do you want out of it? And what can you do to keep that going? So is having the practice itself, is that what you need? Or do you need an income from it, And whatever ways that you can sort of make your practice work for you.
Yeah. And you think it's okay to need an income from it and want it. There's also, and when I was younger, and even now, there's this sidebar theme around selling out and like not thinking about money and only thinking about the art.
Right. I do want to say, like, I think you can be an artist and be interested in money too.
Say it again. She thinks you can be an artist and be interested in money too. Thank you. Yes, I think so.
And I think particularly in a society where there's not a whole lot of social safety nets, like this country that we live in. I think in other cultures and countries, it could work out differently.
Yes.
You can have an art practice and that be your source of income, and still you can access health insurance.
That's right.
You can access, long-term care.
Well, yes.
And all of these things that support making of a culture is present.
That's right.
But unfortunately,
here,
where we are,
yes,
that is not the case. And as wrong as it is, in order for you to have a life that you can live without ridden in anxiety about those things, you have to have, access to.
Exactly.
And you have to have some money to access these things, unfortunately.
Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, advocating for yourself, evaluating your this quote so-called opportunities, really thinking about why you have your practice, why it matters to you, and being okay with the fact that it's okay for you to live well as an artist, right?
Right. And it's also okay to make money somewhere else.
Yes.
Outside of your practice.
Yes, that's also okay.
Yeah.
And preserve your practice as for you.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I have a hard time with, and I should probably do better, is like the whole marketing.
Oh, that yes. I think you've done pretty well, Reiko. What do you
I
mean
didn't
do
have
better?
to think about that
Oh,
as much.
like this, the posting on social media and
that
like
stuff
thinking.
is just,
yes, yeah. So you didn't expect to have to do that?
I guess if I really thought about it, I would know.
Like, you didn't think you had to sell stuff? Okay. Yeah.
But I think, in some ways,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think I came in from the making, like wanting to
from
make.
the making. Same, yes.
So, selling wasn't at the forefront of why I wanted to have the practice.
That's right.
So I sort of, it's like, once you get to a certain point, you're like, oh yes, I do actually have to sell.
And self-promotion.
Yeah. Which is,
it's hard.
As an introvert.
Yes, same.
It's hard.
I have an Instagram account that hardly has any posts for my artwork. So anyone's following, they're like, what's she doing? Mm-hmm. I'm not posting. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think for us, maybe there's a generational thing too, where self-promotion has changed.
Right.
When I was younger, starting as an artist, self-promotion looked like, going to some art openings, a little bit of chit-chat, having a business card, meeting a few important people, and then those important people would introduce you to other people. Mm. Now, self-promotion is like a whole other... Mm-hmm. It's a whole other beast. Mm-hmm. It's an art in and of itself.
Yeah, certainly. It just takes a part of me that isn't easily accessible to put myself out there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that part is, in person is all good and fine, but the social media part is a little hard for me sometimes.
It's same.
Yeah.
It's hard for me too.
But I guess it's a chicken and egg thing situation, right? So you have to promote so you can make your practice sustainable.
That's right. I mean, my mother always used to tell us when we were like teenagers in our 20s, if we wanted to meet people, she's like, well, you're not going to meet anyone in your living room.
All right.
So you better get dressed up and go on out there.
Except that going out there happens in the digital world.
I know, which is scarier. It's scarier. So it is hard, and you didn't expect to have to do it. You do it though, I think pretty well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and the proof is in the pudding in terms of your enterprise has grown. So some of what you're doing is working.
Yeah. I just have to discern which one's working.
I know. Yeah, well, that's where your friends come in. I mean, I think, too, the other part of this, I would say, in addition to the advocacy and the weighing the opportunities and being clear about what you want to do, is, be in a community with other people.
Right.
Other people who love your work, who will share it and who will introduce you. And we don't have to do any of these things by ourselves.
Right. Yeah, I know that's a very important part of being an artist and a creative is the supporting each other and the support you get from your community and helping each other grow.
I feel really fortunate to have been able to live a life as an artist for now. You know, I graduated from college in 1997, so people can do the math. To have been able to basically do work I love to do. For me, like the new things I'm thinking about are like college for my daughter, retirement. I'm like, okay, I've always had multiple things I've been doing, right? And I've always been super comfortable with that. Am I going to do that when I'm 70? I don't know. What are some of the things you're thinking about, like right now, looking ahead from a financial point of view?
I mean, I think some of the same things that you know are knowing that your child is also about the same age as mine.
Yeah.
Those things are definitely coming into play. Also, I think I think a lot of it is the sandwich generation.
Oh, yes. Parents.
Concerns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kids and parents.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
And my parents, you know, are far away. They're in Japan. So, you know, that requires a...
Yeah, that's...
I'm not quite ready to fully think about it yet, but...
Yeah, I know.
But, you know,
it's in
looming.
There. Yes, it's looming. No, yeah. I mean, almost every day I think about, you know, my parents are mid-70s. My dad's almost 80. And so I'm like, wow, okay. Like 10 years from now, if they're here with us still, they're going to need more attention and more care. And I'll want to give it.
Right.
I'll want to be in a position to give it. So...
And I think another thing is also... my younger one is moving up to middle school in the fall. So it really sort of frees up some of that time and mental space for me. So, you know, I'm at a place where I'm also thinking about what else to bring into my life.
Yeah. That's exciting too. I mean, I feel at this moment too, similarly, like this is a moment to try new things. And there's a little bit of that, I don't know, practical Capricorn in me where I'm like, well, I should do it now because 10 years from now, there might be some different demands on me, myself, my own physicality, also my parents. And so I'm like, now is the moment to try those new things and expand the range of things. Are there certain artists that you admire who've lived this artist life in a way that you're like, wow, that's really inspiring?
I don't know if I'm actually trying to remember his name. He's sort of on Instagram, and I'm not sure if it's a life that I want for myself necessarily. But there's this Japanese man who lives on an island near the sea, somewhere in Japan. Wow. I can't remember exactly where. But he's part-time fisherman and part-time potter.
Oh, wow. Oh, that sounds so nice.
And he makes these gigantic, undulating, earthy pots.
Wow.
And there's something about that simplicity and sort of like knowing exactly what to do. Sort of.
Like you've decided, like these are the things I'm doing. Yeah. This is where I'm doing it.
And, you know, and sort of that, I guess, homesteading part of that practice is really appealing to me.
Yes. I'll come visit you on the island.
I probably will not be a fisherman. I'd have to buy the fish and maybe grow some vegetables.
But thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's refreshing to talk with Reiko about striking that balance between making art and making money. The two are they're essential if you want to live your life as an artist. If you want to be able to pay your rent, buy a home, support your family, travel, or have more time for making art, your financial wellness is essential to that. And for so many artists, we're ashamed of saying that, or we hesitate to say it. And if we do make money or some money, we downplay the fact that we do. We could get very philosophical about capital and capitalism, but that's not what we're here to do today. And that's not what happens in this episode. In this episode and in this conversation with Reiko, what's really nice is to be affirmed and reaffirmed that living this artistic life and living it well means living it with money. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, yeah, we need money. To learn more about Reiko's ceramic practice and to see her work, please visit reikoyamamoto.com. This has been the Art Power Podcast. I'm Janera Solomon. The show is a co-production of Row Home Productions and Art Power, a public benefit corporation working to bring artists sustainability, dignity, and freedom. Our producers are Jackson Roach and Kristen Vermilia. Our managing producer is Alex Lewis. Mixing and mastering by John Myers. Subscribe and tell your friends about the Art Power Podcast. And find out more about the work we do at artpower.io. Thank you for listening.
Row Home Productions.